Vols are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit did to do, and welcome to More Important Issues. It is Sunday, November 6th. It is a solemn day on Rocky Top. The bigger picture, things are okay, but you never want to lose. And you never want to lose in that fashion.
Yeah, just not our day. You have those days. I mean, that was when I rewatched it today. It wasn't, I want to give Georgia full credit. They looked like the best team in America yesterday. That was not the same Georgia team that struggled against Missouri a couple weeks ago. They came to play. Their fans, Sanford was loud, and it seemed to bother Tennessee a little bit. And the offense wasn't what it was. If you would have told me before the game, hey, Tennessee's only going to give up 27 points to Georgia, I was like, okay, we probably win that game. But the offense, just for whatever reason, just couldn't get it done. And, it sucks that it turned out the way that it did. But LSU helped us out. Notre Dame helped us out a little bit. We're not out of it. We're still in it, baby.
It certainly could have been a worse day. That's for sure. It's weird to not only for Tennessee to lose, but lose in that way. And I'm not mad as much as just a little disappointed. And it's not even the necessarily win or loss column I'm disappointed in. It's just the overall, the way it was played. And we're going to talk about things to fix here in a minute. But, yeah, it was just unfortunate. But, yeah, for Tennessee to lose, and it just felt like the wheels are going to start falling off this magical season, if you will. And then LSU beats Alabama. That virtually eliminates Alabama, assuming the other two or the other, really probably got to have 6 teams completely take care of business. Probably out of it. They still have Ole Miss to play too. And then for Notre Dame to virtually eliminate Clemson, more than likely. It would be tough for them to get back in the conversation of college football playoff. A great weekend with all that. It really turned around again, had nothing to do with the game. You're still upset about the game, but definitely turned around your playoff hopes. So I don't know how Tennessee got a weekend like that after a loss, but it kept an 11. Obviously, you still have 11 wins you can get to, and then college ball playoff still on the horizon. Yeah,
we want to stay positive. I know we got to talk about the game, and there's not a lot of positives that came out of it. But Bill Peake said it in our chat just now. He said the big prize is still on the table. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about losing.
But again,
now.
we weren't even supposed to be in this position. So the fact that we are, we did take a loss. We took our lumps, took our bruises, and, that's still on the table. I think it's pretty fascinating of how this season's kind of playing out. And, Jay Bird Helm says, win out, we'll be okay. You have a great opportunity on the table with these last 3 opponents are 3 of probably the worst teams in the SEC.
Yeah, you should at least be able to score a lot of points on them. And yeah, Tennessee definitely, as far as season outlook, your season's not over by any means. To say that, you could still accomplish a lot, but also because of the way things shaked out in college football yesterday, like Bill said, the big prize is still there for you. So it's really nice. It worked out in Tennessee's favor. And the good thing about losing right now, if you got to take anything from a loss, is your season's not over yet. Both, literally in terms of national championship, but also literally in the sense that you get to play next week still. So figure whatever you need to figure out. Take the loss. It happened. Shake it off and rinse and repeat and get back to Neyland. That's another positive. You get to play in front of your home crowd, and you get a chance to. You get a chance to wallop an opponent.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't get to use the term wallop a lot either, so that was nice.
Well, a team that you walloped just a week ago in Kentucky just beat this team you're about to play. So, I hope this team really just, and they seem to kind of have this mantra about them, like they just want to, get to the next game, win or lose. They want to get to the next game, and hopefully you're able to. I pray for Missouri. I really do. I know that's on our topic to kind of look at, but Missouri's not a good football team, and hopefully this team comes out with their hair on fire and just lights up the scoreboard.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk about yesterday because we have to do our due diligence. It started off so nice with that fumble. It kind of felt like, oh man,
I took my shirt off at Old City Sports Bar.
Okay, yeah, I ran around. I didn't go off yet, but I did run around. Yeah, things start to kind of look like not only do you have a chance, but maybe the bounces will work in your favor too. And then not that I thought the game was over by any means at that point. It was just very deflating to only get a field goal. Tennessee didn't run the ball once on that drive. You had a false start. I wanted the ball first, and I don't know. Glad I guess you didn't, because you may have ended up punting from the on side your side of the field. Who knows? You never know. But yeah, it's just it kind of felt from the start you didn't know it. Hindsight's 2020, but maybe that was a sign of things for this offense for the day. And credit to Georgia. I mean, their defense played well. They didn't let Tennessee beat them deep, and the few times Tennessee did, they didn't connect on the long ball. So hats off to their defense. Got a ton of pressure. Really the only team that's gotten pressure on Tennessee to this point.
Yeah. 6 sacks, definitely not normal. I mean, Hendon Hooker kind of got beat up, and he was kind of hesitant and held onto the ball a couple times too long. But, we just couldn't do anything. I mean, they were playing those two high safeties. They're going to keep everything in front of them and force Tennessee's wide receivers to win one-on-one matchups, and that was something Tennessee's wide receivers had a hard time doing. They wanted to keep Ringo, their big corner who's like 6'3", 210 on Cedric Tillman, our big time receiver. They kept Lassiter on Brew McCoy, and they threw a ton of guys at Jalen Hyatt. It was just something that we couldn't. Number one, we couldn't hit on the deep balls. There was 3 deep balls that probably go for touchdowns. Can't hit on any of them. And if you hit on 2 out of 3, it's a completely different ball game.
Hit on 1 out of 3.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just unfortunate, kind of how everything played out. There, we had so many pre-snap penalties. I think the crowd had a little bit to do with that. Just Gerald Mincy and Jeremiah Crawford just struggled yesterday.
Yeah, the crowd did have a lot to do with it. So the next statement, don't think I'm taking away from that crowd. That motion that Georgia does pre-snap, like right at the snap, I hate it. It's always. I get it's not illegal. I just hate it. And I guess Georgia, you have to be really good to do it, and that's why Georgia is one of the only teams that can. I don't know. I don't understand it. It's very frustrating. But that got, I think, at least twice. There may have been a third one in there. That Tennessee moves on that movement. So that was very frustrating. No, Sanford was a great environment. I'm not taking away from Sanford. I may have some questions about the decibel meter in Athens. They may need to get that calibrated. I don't know, but no, I mean, you could hear it through the microphone. It was loud. You could tell it was loud the whole time. So, which for anyone saying it wasn't going to be loud, you're a moron. If you want to compete, if you want to compare Neyland and Sanford, that's fine, whatever. But good environment, and I mean that's Tennessee's first real road test. They took the LSU wants to blame it on 11 a.m. kickoff. It was your special teams woe to start. Took all the air out of that stadium because every piece of the student section was filled at 11 a.m. for that game. Mm-hmm. So Tennessee's first real road game.
And you struggled on first and second down, and it eventually made you struggle on third down. You were 2 for 14 on third downs. Couldn't really get anything going on first and second down, and that's what leads to that. Tennessee's done a great job of getting close to the sticks, for third downs, and that's why they're able to capitalize on them so often. I think it was 55% third down rate, I think is what we're at. I mean, 2 for 14. I don't know off the top of my head what percent that is, but it's terrible, whatever it is.
It's not good. And another thing too, and I'm sure this plays into these offensive struggles because they usually do a good job of getting ahead of the sticks, but I just felt like our tempo was not the same as it has been. Like really weird. I don't know if that's crowd noise related. I don't know what that is. It just everything fell out of character for Tennessee's offense yesterday. And I don't think I think that's due to Georgia and their defense. But it just felt like we were it never looked like a Josh Heupel coached offense yesterday. There were very few times in the game that it did, I should say. They did have their normal tempo and looks.
Yeah, they just kind of kept everything in front of them, and I feel like Tennessee kind of forced it. They were forcing things down the field, which they haven't up to this point. They usually just take what the defense gives them, and there wasn't a lot of that. I don't know if it had to do with the pressure or, them playing press or whatever it was, but they're usually able to just throw those, little wide receiver screens out there and just do it until you stop it or do it until we hit on a big play. But there wasn't a lot of that. I think Tennessee ran the ball okay at times. But again, like we shot ourselves in the foot so many times against, when we were on the other side of the 50, I think we had 6 penalties inside Georgia's 30-yard line.
Yeah, that's one of the stories of the game too is the amount of self-inflicted wounds, and including that, not just penalties, but we talked about the deep ball, just really not being a massive threat, and then Hendon Hooker didn't look like Hendon Hooker, and I mean I think that goes for pretty much everybody on the team, especially in the first quarter. Just looked like we never got settled in, and then Hendon Hooker, the guy that you look to, he's your leader, he's your quarterback, just never really looked like himself, and that's not good when he's the guy that's a little off kilter.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I know a VFL kind of put out there that Hendon let the team down. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, he is a Heisman candidate. Yeah, let's put him on the bench and put somebody else in because he's struggling against the best defense in the country. Good God. That infuriated me when I read it today.
I don't think it's – I mean, I certainly don't think it's benching. And I don't think you can put the entire game on Hendon Hooker. I mean, first off, Stetson Bennett, I doubted you. I doubted your ability. You didn't look like the guy you did down the stretch. Hats off to Stetson Bennett. He was dropping it in a bread basket on those deep balls.
And it's a lot easier to do that when you don't have anybody in your lap.
No, yeah, it is. But, he made the big-time throws, and that there's 2 throws in that game that if he doesn't connect on, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
And both deep balls. And so hats off to him. And yeah, I mean, I don't think this game is completely on Hendon Hooker, but he's certainly not without blame.
Yeah, 100%. But tell me one person that played a good game.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So yeah, Hendon Hooker did not lose you this football game. You got beat.
In every facet. I mean, special teams.
Yeah, I mean,
you got
play calling wasn't great either. I mean, to have a Heisman candidate and have the legs that Hendon Hooker does, 0 design runs. I was shocked by that. And maybe you got down too fast, and what the rain didn't help. Of course, it's a downpour in the second half when you need to throw the football and try to get back in the football game. But that's how it worked out. Like, I mean, you can't go down for that very reason. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly one thing. Tennessee goes down pretty big early, and maybe that's what got them out of character too, because which is weird. You can score fast being who you are. It really shouldn't. Be patient. The points will come, and then but it just gets even more deflating when you miss on deep balls, especially when it's your quarterback overthrowing. It's not great defense or anything like that. You're missing wide open guys, and that's a frustrating aspect of it. No, I mean I'm glad to see this team get to come home because I mean Athens and Sanford clearly was involved. It's not magical why you got to show up for this game, but you're not trying to figure out what happened. You played the best team in the country. There's no denying it after this week. And then you played an away game. I'm not saying Tennessee wins it at home because that Georgia team is really good, but Tennessee, it's a different ball game if it's
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, just a lot of mistakes, defensive wise. Again, if 27, I'm not like I know Georgia kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, but
I don't think. See, I mean, they weren't trying to score at pace because they were in a lead and they knew their way to victory at that point was keeping the ball out of our offense's hands.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I mean, that's why I saw people say they took their foot off the gas. You don't take your foot off the gas and milk 9 minutes. That's every bit of imposing your will, and you're not playing. They weren't playing for 3 yards and running the play clock down. So
yeah, I mean they were trying to get out. They had the lead, and they were trying to milk clock, but they weren't. I get what you're saying. They weren't like just giving it. Hey, if we punt, whatever. They were trying to get first downs. But they weren't, hitting Brock Bowers. They weren't really throwing a lot. But Tennessee caused turnovers. We had some turnovers too. I mentioned last week. I was like, Tennessee wants to win this game, and they want to be in the game like teams like Missouri and Florida had. You got to win the turnover battle. And Tennessee, it was 2-2, but Tennessee's defense did force some of them. But there were a lot of mental errors too. You get Danico slaughtered. That punt that Georgia had was incredible too, and had to punt it right back. Ladd McConkey, hits Danico Slaughter with a stop and go, and it was just a house call.
Yeah,
you got beat. Juwan Mitchell on Georgia's first touchdown has a chance to sack Stetson Bennett and force a field goal, and he, gets out of it. There's no contain, and he scores from I think it was 20 yards out, something like that. So yeah, they weren't great by any means. Jalen McCullough missed some tackles. Everybody probably missed some tackles. The biggest thing for me is the difference that I felt like it was the run, like our running backs get knocked backwards. And that first point of contact, they're getting tackled. Georgia's running backs falling forward. That first point of contact, they're getting past it. It just seemed like that was the whole game in a nutshell.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that just shows too how much farther along the Georgia program is versus the Tennessee program.
Yeah.
They just look better prepared, faster, physical team. And that's, I think, the story of the day. And what you described, that's the game in a nutshell.
Yeah. There's a evident talent gap. And I know we're ranked number 1 and they're number 3. I get it. Like Tennessee's got a really good football team. But when you look at straight rankings and, who they have depth wise, they were able to sub in and out, and it didn't matter.
There's a reason the computer rankings have Georgia higher. I mean, let's be honest. And that's not to say Tennessee couldn't win this ball game. There were paths to win it, obviously. They beat Alabama, who arguably has close to the same talent gap as Georgia. LSU's more talented than Tennessee on paper. So, yeah, it's not saying Tennessee shouldn't win it. It's just there's a program.
You're still playing catch up a little bit. Yeah. Georgia's is in the 247 college football talent rankings. It ranks the entire roster. Georgia's number 2. Only Alabama is number 1. So we did beat a number 1 team. So it is, it's not an excuse, but it does tell a story a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's why Tennessee's one of the reasons Tennessee's an 8-point dog going into this game. I mean, and I think that's like the outlook on the season. That's how you know that where Tennessee's at. Vegas had them at 7.5 wins. They've already surpassed that. They've gotten through the toughest part of their schedule. Not that I think games like Missouri and South Carolina, could challenge Tennessee. We've seen Missouri go toe to toe with Georgia. I know that doesn't tell the whole story of their team. But yeah, to get the meteor schedule out of your way and be 8-1 with where your program's at, you cannot be disappointed in the season. And I think that too is just to say any disappointment I'm feeling it's from the last 24 hours. It has nothing to do with the outlook of Tennessee's season or what they've done up to this point.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Going back to that talent ranking a little bit. So Georgia's number 2. They have 15 5-stars, 52 4-stars, and 18 3-stars. Tennessee is number 19 in the country. 2 5-stars. That's Brew McCoy, Darnell Wright. It was 1 when I looked at it the other day, right before the game, but now it's 2. Because Brew McCoy, when he transferred, wasn't considered a 5-star anymore.
Gotcha.
But
they
now
just
he
go off
is.
high school. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
But now he is. Now they do have 2 5-stars, 24 4-stars, and 56 3-stars. So I mean, the 56 3-stars just pops out. And I know like Stetson Bennett and Ladd McConkey, like those guys are not 5-stars. But when you look at Keely Ringo, Smell Munden, Tate Ratledge, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, Marius Mims, like those names sound so familiar because Tennessee was in on those guys because they were so talented. Like that, you just lost that recruiting battle when Jeremy Pruitt was here. You couldn't win those, and that's where the gap is. Like Georgia's just feasted on recruiting. I heard Kirby Smart say he hasn't taken any guys in the portal. I think there is something to that to a certain extent. Now Tennessee had to do it to like get some of that roster back. Alabama did it just like, hey, we're just going to be more talented than everybody. And it seems like it's not really worked out for them.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how the portal
I
has
think it's a culture. It's got to be a fit. Culture.
Yeah, and there's definitely fit involved. But it's been interesting that, the transfer portal has worked for a lot of teams, a lot of players, and Alabama's just
I dropped my
one
phone,
of them.
Caleb. What is
Do
this?
what?
I dropped my phone this time.
Get the show going, baby.
Yeah.
Get the show going. I'm trying to be happy, but you always can't be happy when you recap Georgia. And that just, there's no other way to put it. That beatdown that Kirby Smart and Georgia delivered to Tennessee. It was a sad. And maybe I needed it. Maybe I needed to be humbled and just sulk for a day. I haven't sulked this year.
It's been weird. Like I forget what it's like to lose.
I hope we can continue that. Yeah, it's miserable. I've had a terrible day. I felt sick all day. I think it's from losing. I'm convinced. I don't know what else it would be from.
Yeah. So what you need to get back in kneeling also. Let's fill that thing up. Let's be loud. I know it's a noon game, but senior day.
Let's gone down.
It has. That's right.
Have they? Have you looked at them?
Yeah, they went from they're like 200, now they're like 120. I think was the cheapest ticket, so a little bit, yeah.
Gotcha.
Still a lot when you consider it's Missouri at noon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. You want to talk about things you can fix. I'd like to hear your input because it's hard to really. I don't know what to say because it looks so uncharacteristic in just about. Other than defense, which kind of what you expected. It's like a golf swing. Don't try to necessarily fix it. Just try to get back to what you normally do.
Yeah, I think you gotta be able to run Hendon Hooker. I'd like to see that more. I think just the offense in general just looked off. Hendon just blindly throwing a 50-50 ball up to Cedric Tillman. Maybe he's done that in the past and it's come down with it, but that throw just wasn't close.
Yeah, it wasn't a 50-50 ball. He didn't give Cedric a chance. That was the problem.
So,
very uncharacteristic.
It was just like he didn't even look. He just kind of blindly threw it. I mentioned the running backs getting past that first contact. That's just something you have to do in the SEC, and it just feels like ours are always like we had a draw with Jalen Wright. He gets through the first line, you're like, oh, go, 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 go. And then a linebacker comes up and just gets his feet.
Yeah.
For 5 yards. And when you get through the first line and a halfback draw, you think, oh, God, it's wide open. You make one guy miss, and it's probably a 20, 25-yard gain, and you get tackled by the first man. And kudos to Georgia because I think they only missed 3 tackles all game.
Yeah, again, the talent gap in that sense, looked massive.
Yeah. But yeah, the penalties are the main thing. That's got to be fixed. Love Gerald Mincy. but it seems like it's a common denominator with him that he's always false starting, always. And it's I feel like it's so difficult to false start in this offense.
Yeah, again, uncharacteristic. Like again, I just don't know how to describe what I saw from the Tennessee offense, and I don't know how to feel about Georgia's defense. Not that they haven't looked good. I mean, they looked exceptional yesterday, though.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Also, like if we're trying to come back and we're trying to throw the ball down the field, can we have 4 receivers on the field at the same time? I mean, I love tight ends to death, but like when you're trying to get it like a 3rd and 10, can we put Squirrel White or a Mel Keaton or somebody out there that can make a move on her, break a tackle or run by somebody? I love Jacob Bourne and Prince of Fant, but neither one of those guys are going to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, just knowing the talent you have at wide receiver, I think that's frustrating to see.
And it's not just yesterday. It's something that we have not done all year long. And granted, you hadn't had to, but
Yeah.
I mean, still, that's something I feel like we should do. When you have that much talent, Squirrel White. No one's them and Jalen Houghton is in the slot. I mean, then you talking about matchups. Which one are you going to guard? Who are you putting your weak link at? Because that's who we're throwing to.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't matter yesterday. I don't think you could point to a weak link in Georgia's defense yesterday.
Correct. Yes. No, you couldn't. I mean, we didn't get any pressure whatsoever. I mean, Stetson Bennett could have, taken a seat and had dinner, and we would have never touched him.
Yeah, and I haven't watched it to like really see the issues. I haven't had the stomach to go do that yet. But your defensive line just did not look like they had all year. And I know Georgia's one of the top ranked offensive lines in the country too. I think they're number 1, aren't they?
I mean, I'd like to see a better one.
Yeah, certainly after yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I understand that as well. But just lack of pressure all day. I mean, I would be shocked to hear that if you told me that before the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's when a quarterback is this talented, like Stetson Bennett, Hendon Hooker, when you're at the top of college football and you don't have like any pressure, it's literally like 7-on-7. I mean, at that point,
yeah,
you can literally just put it, like you said, in a bread basket. You can put it wherever you want, when no one's even getting close to you.
It was a sad day. It was a bad day.
Correct. Yeah, forcing things. I just thought that was, like you said, uncharacteristic.
I really don't know how else to describe it. It was so sad. I'm sad. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I know I'm excited for the rest of the season, but at this very moment, I'm sad. We should have done this show Saturday night, so I could have just moved on from it. But I had to think about it. I've had to think about it since 7:00 yesterday, and it's And then you watch the Alabama game, and you feel a little bit better, but you're still thinking about that loss to Georgia because you're thinking about.
Oh, you're thinking about football. We could play LSU in the SEC championship, a team that we dominated.
Yeah, that would be really nice to do now too.
But yeah, hey.
Your playoff hopes are very much alive. I'm really interested. Let's actually talk about that. Unless you want to mention anything else about the game.
No,
I know
I'm
me.
good. Let's move on.
I know me. I'm ready to just
get
it out.
Yeah.
Rid myself of those thoughts. I'm really interested to see the college football playoff poll. I mean, you obviously have TCU moving so far up in the AP. I know the AP doesn't directly reflect what the committee will do. With Tennessee being at number 1, I'm just really interested to see where they fall, especially with Clemson losing, Alabama obviously losing, LSU. They gotta. I'm really scared they may mess with it too much, but I mean LSU's got to at least move up to what, number 7, number 6.
I don't think LSU is going to sit back there. They're going to have the committee's going to wait on them to. They got to beat Georgia, and then things will get iffy. But if they don't beat Georgia in the SEC championship, they got to make it there first. Don't they play Ole Miss?
They already played Ole Miss.
Okay.
They only have Arkansas and A&M left.
Okay. So they'll probably win those.
Well, that may not be right. They have 3 SEC games, or they have a FCS or the non-power 5 non-conference. I look at their
I don't know
schedule.
what their football schedule.
But I mean, so they've number 10. I just feel like if you get put at number 10 and you beat the number 6 team, they're probably having you jump Oregon and USC with one. I mean, they've already said to LSU, we respect what you're done and doing.
Arkansas, UAB, and Texas A&M. So
okay.
yeah, they're probably in the college football playoff.
Well, they still got to beat Georgia to get in the college football playoff.
Or I mean SEC championship. I didn't mean college
sorry.
football playoff. And then 2 losses.
Yeah.
Then it's still going to be difficult. It's got to be people in front of you losing, not just because you're a 2-loss conference champion.
Yeah, and I could see Tuesday. I could see Tennessee being number 4 still, or number 5. Sorry, I could see them being number 5.
I think that's where most people have them. I'm going to keep. You brought up a great point, and I think other people have said this also. But the fact that the committee put Alabama ahead of TCU, and then this week they're going to put TCU ahead of Tennessee.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
I don't think you can do that. And I would, if Michigan or Ohio State had already played and one of those were 1 losses, I think Tennessee probably stays inside the top 4 just because they were at number 1. I think they put them at 5 just because Michigan, Ohio State's going to work itself out. So you just – but again –
you're basically at 4 because one of those teams isn't getting in.
That could be an argument, though, to leave Tennessee at 4. Yeah, that's what I'm – so they may just leave them at 4, saying Michigan, Ohio State will work itself out. We'll put winner of that game in the college football playoff. I don't know how to shake out. I don't see TCU jumping Tennessee for the reason you just stated. Oregon, USC won't jump Tennessee. I think it's LSU probably sitting at that number gets that 7th spot ahead of Alabama, or kind of switching with Alabama. I know Alabama's 6. So yeah, but TCU will move up to 6. Sorry. So yeah, I don't know how it'll all shake out. I'm interested to see if Tennessee is still inside the playoff or not, though. That'll be an interesting point for Tuesday's show.
Yeah, do you put TCU because TCU was trailing at the start of the 4th quarter against a 500 Texas Tech team, ended up beating them by 10. You got at Texas, at Baylor, and then I think they play Iowa State at the end. So not an easy schedule for TCU, who I know they're good because you're sitting here at 9-0, but I don't think they're that great.
No, well, I mean, the committee.
And if I'm the committee, I'm putting the best 4 teams in the college football playoff. And I understand, if you're undefeated, you're going to be in it. But if TCU loses a game and then goes and wins the Big 12 championship, I don't think they jump Tennessee. I don't.
No, I don't. I mean, again, them sitting at number 7, I don't think that's what happens. Sitting at 7 as it stands right now, but yeah, TCU's got to be undefeated. I think putting them at 7, you said you got to stay undefeated to be in contention. We see you as the 7th, like you said. The committee, I think, we've talked about it. I think they've done a pretty good job every year. There's a few here and there, but for the most part, they've gotten it right. And choosing the best team. So I think TCU has kind of been a prove us wrong kind of mentality.
Yeah, and Oregon as well. They can't hop Tennessee because the one common opponent is Georgia, and that was on a neutral field, and they got beat 49-3. We played them on the road and got beat by 14.
And that's my favorite argument, even for some Georgia fans. I just want to crush Tennessee's hopes that bad. And listen, you crushed our hopes of beating you. I'll give you that credit. Unfortunately, I don't think you're enough to keep us out of the playoff. They said, well, that Oregon team's a lot different. They're a lot better. So if we're assuming Oregon's a lot better, why would we not assume Georgia in week 10 is better than Georgia in week 1? So in that sense, how can you decipher that point spread in assuming both teams got better? So it's a weird comment. You have to use that common opponent. You cannot shake it out by weeks. Unless Oregon goes on a complete tear and dominates the Pac-12, that's the only way I think that's assuming Tennessee doesn't dominate either down the stretch. There's ways they get in, but it's slim. It's slimmer than Tennessee's right now.
Well, what's going to be really interesting, and a lot of things have to take place, but say Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon, wins out and is a Pac-12 champion. TCU loses to Texas. Whatever happens in the Big 12, I don't think they get in. So those 4 teams I mentioned: Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Oregon. Those, the committee, are they going to want a rematch for the semifinals? And you're going to have to, But which one are you going to pick? You're going to have Tennessee or you're going to have Oregon? I think then Tennessee should play Ohio State in the semifinals, and Georgia should play Oregon in the semifinals.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I think you're right. That's probably what happens if that scenario pops up.
And it's crazy. Georgia just kind of solidified themselves as the number one team, and then it's everybody else behind them because Ohio State didn't look good yesterday. Beat Northwestern 21-7. Also, kind of something that Tennessee fans can look at and be like, "Yo, C.J. Stroud isn't ahead of Hendon Hooker for yesterday because C.J. Stroud had 76 passing yards against Northwestern.
Yeah,
Northwestern is 1-8.
Yeah, Vegas agrees with you too. So
okay, so he's still at number one.
He's still the Heisman favorite as it stands today. So the Vegas odds makers agree that C.J. Stroud's performance did the same damage that Hendon Hooker's performance did. Yes, Shane, that would make things really, really interesting. Tennessee would need a lot to go in their favor. LSU winning out and beating Georgia in the SEC championship would shake things up in an insane way. The good news, the problem is you're probably the odd team out there, but you still have a shot, but you're probably the odd team out.
Yeah. Yeah. Then again, like head to head, like that's got to matter.
I hate that you can look at week one losses and they don't count too. You lost to an okay FSU team at the beginning of the year, but it's a loss.
Yeah.
It is. If Tennessee's sitting here at 2 losses and their other loss came in week 6, we wouldn't be deciphering it. It's 2 losses.
Right. And maybe that SEC championship makes up for the fact that you lost to Florida State. It doesn't make up for the fact that you lost 40-13 at home against Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you want us to move a team that you got beat 40-13 at home for you to get in? No, that shouldn't be the case.
It shouldn't, but then I would LSU needs a championship to get in.
Yeah.
And then it's like, why play the championship at all, though, if it can't help you? And that's the argument that it becomes. And I was talking to someone about it last night, and I can't remember the exact discussion, but it was essentially the playoff is at an unfortunate position because they have to deal with NCAA being the worst structured league in all of sports.
Mm-hmm. It sucks that it's the best, thing to watch.
Yeah, it's just structured terrible.
Yeah, it's just awful.
Because how do you decide?
And we're going to get screwed. That's what I keep going back to. Like Tennessee always finds a way to somehow get screwed out of something. So yeah, LSU is probably going to beat Georgia in the SEC championship. So go ahead and put money on that because that's the way that Tennessee will, find a way to miss out on the college football playoff.
That's the path right now for sure to get screwed out of it, not to be left out.
Yeah, and if you are left out, I don't think there's anything that it's disappointing. But again, you're not supposed to be here. You go to New Orleans, play in the Sugar Bowl. That's something that Tennessee's been dying to get to for years. So I think that'll be enjoyable as well. I'd like to go to that. I'd much rather go to a Sugar Bowl in New Orleans than go to SoFi in freaking California.
I wouldn't, because that's where the national championship's being played.
Yeah, but if I'm going by venue, that's that sucks that it's all the way out there. And Tennessee's also, if we do get in, we're also getting screwed. We're gonna have to go to Phoenix, and then the next week we're gonna have to go to freaking California.
Yeah, and what Butch Jones would say is our goal was never to make it to a playoff. We didn't say that. So that would be his saying after last night. But no, there's a way that this season still obviously has success on it. There's still plenty of successes you can getting to, and winning the Sugar Bowl would be one of those successes. So yeah, there's plenty of paths to success for this team. And it's one of the things that you kind of get when you're not expected to be good. You get to get many successes along the way. That's probably what should have played in Tennessee's favor yesterday, is that Georgia was I know they were ranked 3 by the committee, but Georgia was favored They were number 1 in the AP poll. I mean, Tennessee was playing with house money. I know we've all heard that phrase a lot this year. They kind of still are in a way. Obviously, next week they'll be the favored team, and there is some pressure on them with not having the ability to lose anymore. But in the sense of the full season, you're still playing with house money, and you get to kind of go make the most of it and have some fun. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate to be in a Sugar Bowl. It would be disappointing to not make the college football playoff at this point, but it wouldn't be the worst way to end the season.
Yeah, 100%. Go play Texas or somebody, beat the crap out of them. Be cool. I'd enjoy that. Man, a lot to unfold in these last couple of weeks.
This was an exciting week in college football, and it sucks that I didn't get to fully enjoy it. I cheered when Alabama lost, obviously, but other than I just didn't get to. I was pretty nervous leading up to game time. So yeah, it wasn't. It was a fun weekend to watch, not an enjoyable weekend though.
Yeah. Do you think it helps any? I saw this comment from Shane in here in the chat. Do you think it is kind of a silver lining that we don't have to play in the SEC championship and still find a way to get in? I think if you still get in and you don't have to play in the SEC championship, yes. But if you don't get in, it would have been nice to win yesterday and already, have your ticket in. No matter what happens to Georgia, if they win out, they go play in the SEC championship. No matter if they win or lose, they're probably still in the playoff.
Yeah, the problem is with losing last night is you're leaving a lot up to destiny and leaving a lot up to other teams. And losing it and having this back end of the schedule certainly doesn't help you, because if you win and you have this back end of the schedule, you're almost, like you said, you've almost punched your ticket. I mean, you're real close. Mm-hmm. So, if you had to play Florida next week or something like that, or had to play for Alabama next week, you really needed the win to help you continue playing. But there's definitely a way. I mean, there's still a way for Tennessee to get there. But the fact is, if you win that game, win out, you're going to the college football playoff before the SEC championship game. Now, LSU is probably thinking, I wish we had lost Alabama somehow and not had to play in the SEC championship game, because then you have that win on your resume. If a few other teams lose and you look good down the stretch, your name gets thrown in there, obviously ahead of Alabama in that scenario. So, yeah, I mean, it's being a one-loss team that doesn't have to play in the championship game, yes. I wouldn't want – Alabama, same scenario. If they one loss – what sucks about losing to Tennessee for Alabama is your one loss means you've got to beat every West opponent and then go win the SEC championship game. Your one loss can't come to a cross division opponent.
Yeah,
because then the SEC championship game makes it a must win, like LSU's is.
Yeah, and it sucks for Alabama because they're always going to be prime time. They're not going to get LSU at noon. They're the reason that we actually played that noon game at LSU.
Yeah, thanks Nick Saban for making those Jimbo comments.
Yeah, so if we this episode we're not doing any standing ovations, but if we were, that would probably be it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it sucks, but also we got beaten every facet of the game and still lost by 14. I feel like years, the past, 10 years or so, maybe, cross out 16. But usually,
don't cross out 16. They got spanked by Alabama.
I'm saying, if you could be these past couple of teams, you could be in every facet of the game. Tennessee lose by 40, at least 30 points. They only lost by 14 yesterday. So, these next 3 weeks are kind of blow over, and I think people outside of maybe Tennessee fans, because we, kind of live that. But if you're just kind of, college football fan in general, you're thinking, oh, they only lost to them by 14. They're 8.5 point underdogs already. Lost on the road. And that's it. That's their one slip up. I don't think I'll take that, right? Yeah. I think it'll die down a little bit. I know this is a fresh loss, so people are going to look at it. But in 3 weeks, I don't think – we've even kind of forgotten Oregon got the shit beat out of them the first game of the season.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
So
I'm interested to see Tuesday. I hope Tennessee still somehow they keep them in the playoff. I don't think they will, but it'd be
yeah,
cool.
I mean, if
Stay there.
you're 5, you're basically at 4 because Michigan and Ohio State, one of them have to lose. So
Yeah. Yep.
control what you can control, and let's beat the crap out of Missouri. They're so bad.
Please beat the crap out of Missouri. I'm begging you. It's no Columbia. Do we want to recap college football right now? I'm having a feeling we're going to get in and out of here. I know we've talked a lot about it.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of. I think Michigan's an interesting one because it's another one. You look at the score and you're like, oh, they blew out Rutgers. Rutgers was winning at halftime. I think 17-14,
Yeah.
and then Michigan destroyed them in the second half, winning 52-17. So, score doesn't always tell the whole story. Much like I guess that Tennessee game, it didn't either. But I don't think anybody outside of Georgia really impressed in that top 10 besides LSU really this week. I guess Oregon did, but they played Colorado, who's like one of the worst teams in college football.
Yeah, they impressed, but Oregon wasn't enough, like you said, to move the needle really. Clemson just got embarrassed.
That's so awesome. I love that.
And here, Shane Beamer will love this one. In-state opponent, you'll love this one, Shane Beamer. Not only did Clemson lose the game, they also lost the fourth quarter.
He's gonna love that.
I
can't wait till South Carolina. South Carolina's gonna win the fourth quarter against Clemson. He's gonna claim it as a victory, 100%.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Tennessee won the fourth quarter.
I wanted to put money on that so bad. On that Notre Dame game, I just had the quarterback controversy, them just playing like crap,
which persisted throughout the game too.
Yeah, I mean that defense in the fourth quarter got embarrassed by Notre Dame.
Yeah, it wasn't a good showing for our old boy Dabo.
Is Clemson done? Are they are they probably done?
Like as a program or as a team this year?
Like a team that's going to contend for they're not going to win another national championship anytime soon.
I wouldn't think so, and it's going to. I mean, they've had a few weird years where they had more assistant turnover than usual, and offensive and defensive coordinator too. And then you have South Carolina being what's the right word? Good's not the right word.
Pesky.
I'm not just being on the field. They have this positive outlook, so they're going to recruit a little bit better than they have in the past years. So I guess it's just positive outlook on their program right now. Tennessee being better is gonna hurt them, and NIL obviously helps Tennessee recruit. You obviously still have Georgia. Those teams being better, if North Carolina's still recruiting better, that's to be determined throughout. But that hurts them. I mean, they flourished in years that those teams besides Georgia that I named sucked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, being the SEC East is going to be good to Dabo.
I love it.
Being competitive.
I also think
and
North
good.
Carolina probably hurts him a little bit.
No, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think North Carolina being good. And if NC State's good, I mean, those are all Carolina schools that can, in close proximity, that make recruiting more difficult.
And then you have Tony Elliott at Virginia. That probably hurts him a little bit. Obviously, Georgia, just they're not stealing kids from Georgia anymore.
Right.
I think that's probably done with. Maybe defensive linemen, but Georgia's going to have, whatever defensive lineman they want to go after in the state of Georgia.
So are we going to declare them dead? Because I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, they're dead.
All right.
They're dead.
Clemson, Dabo Swinney, you are officially dead.
You suck. Well, let's start that up again. Nick Saban, you suck. How do you lose to a freshman tight end?
And the
what a ballsy call. Man. You get one option, and it's to a freshman tight end against Alabama.
He didn't run a phenomenal route. He came back out of the end zone.
Yeah,
he did come back out of the end zone.
That always makes me nervous. Just throwing to a tight end in general just kind of makes me nervous because, when they have to get another yard with their feet, He usually does not work out.
Yeah.
But he got just enough, baby. That's all that matters. It makes Brian Kelly look like a genius. I made the joke in our group chat, with all those fans rushing the field. He could have killed somebody again, and no one probably would have known.
True. Did you see my tweet, the Greg Sankey video?
Yeah. So he's all for it in that. Yeah, that's
Seems like maybe before Saban got to him, he enjoyed watching it too.
Did they release a statement this week too?
Not yet. I haven't seen it,
Okay.
so I don't know. But
I was about to say they're probably good with it, when LSU does it. But
Saban's police officer escort did have to pretty much tackle someone. It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
that was. Yeah, I don't know. I hate Greg Sankey. Whatever. Very ballsy call, and man, it just never felt like LSU had a game.
No.
Obviously, they led at times and got the lead back at crucial times. Bryce Young had to lead a last-minute drive to tie up the game with a field goal, but it never felt like LSU was in control. They scored at the right times, I guess. That's what matters, right?
Yeah, let me ask you this question. Anybody in the chat, you can answer this too. But if you're LSU in that moment, do you storm? Like, is that a stormable game for you?
I think if they win without that Bryce Young field goal at the end, like if they strip sack Bryce Young, I don't think the field gets stormed. Maybe it does, but I don't think it does. I think it's the emotions of that go for two moment.
Being in overtime. Yeah.
Being in overtime. Okay. I think it's those beating Alabama.
Because I was like, you beat them like in 2019. Like it hasn't been like the Tennessee where it's been years.
Yeah, LSU fans cannot crucify Tennessee fans. You stormed Ole Miss, you stormed Bama. They are not the same.
Yeah, the storm and Ole Miss one that's bad.
Hey, they just like to storm the field. I don't hate it.
I mean, yeah, I'd love to storm the field, but at some point it's like, okay, I got to go all the way down there again. Like it just sucks the fun. Like if we would have stormed Florida, I feel like us storming Florida would be better than them storming against Ole Miss.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Florida definitely didn't get that respect. I'll say it. Alabama and Nick Saban have earned that respect to get stormed on.
Yeah. I mean, if Florida was a good team, like we maybe thought they were at that point. Like now, obviously, no.
No, I agree. All in all, I was just making a joke about liking to see this. I love Kansas storming, tearing the goalpost down. All in all, no, they should not storm Ole Miss.
What about Kansas taking a shot at us after?
I saw that. And I love people saying that Tennessee's a poverty program. Tennessee raised like $115,000 in less than 24 hours. It's not. Listen, Tennessee's not been good at football, so if you want to throw a poverty program in that direction, it's hard to argue. As far as Tennessee being able to get money, that's never been a problem. And listen, you can say it was a bad joke. You can say it's dumb, whatever. The bottom line is, the reason Danny White did it, maybe a little cheesy, just capitalizing on momentum. I mean, you can make fun of it if you want. I get it, but
yeah,
Tennessee wasn't raising money for
goalposts.
Do what?
Isn't that what an AD is supposed to do? I mean,
Yeah.
there was no shock that you're going to get an email the next day after you beat Alabama to renew your season tickets.
Right. And Pete, some people were saying, I saw someone saying that's so wrong if they said that, set up a GoFundMe and did that. Initially, it wasn't even, they sent out that tweet. I think they sent out an email for it. And initially, it didn't even take you to a page for the goalpost. It was the general donation page. And then people asked them to set it up, and they set it up on the general donation page. So you can make fun of the joke. That's fine. It was probably a cheesy dad joke all in all, but it was funny. We should have taken Venmo donations for the field goals in that case. But yeah, maybe bad joke. That's fine. That's fair. I don't hate Kansas shot. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Kentucky, though. I mean, do we really feel good about that win, Cats?
No, but I did bet on them, so I do appreciate them winning. But yeah, that's not great at all. And Chris Rodriguez played, so
Yeah, I don't think that's anything to feel good about. Hey, you got dub. I guess that's to feel good about. But
It was on the road, I guess.
necessarily?
It was on the road.
Hey, it's not actually feel good. You feel good after a win always. Enjoy the wins. But I don't know if you feel better about the season as a whole. I mean, you were going to be bowl eligible.
Yeah.
All right. Florida. I hate anytime Florida wins, but watching them just dog stomp A&M was funny. I won't lie. It was very
A&M
funny.
is so bad.
They're not going to get to a bowl game. The $100 million coach.
Yeah. At what point did they just say it's done?
Like 3
We're
weeks ago.
done with this. I mean, do you think he gets fired?
I think he should. I don't know if he will.
Yeah.
That's a good question. If he will.
God, could you imagine I mean, they're already losing like recruits and stuff. Like losing guys entering the transfer portal and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting how it plays out at A&M. But
did you see how many players had out due to suspension, illness, and injury?
I did see that. Yeah. So
that's 30 plus for those who didn't. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, loser mentality. Can't play through sickness. Couldn't
No
be
Michael
me.
Jordan's on that team.
Yeah, guess not.
And then Sam Pittman. One's kind of baffled me that Sam Pittman is fallen like this. Lost at home to Liberty, and 14 of Arkansas's points came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's one I'm just like. I mean, they were projected this year to be above us.
Before the season, I mean, Tennessee teams like Tennessee, Arkansas, LSU, kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, some people had KJ Jefferson ahead of Hendon Hooker,
and it's one of those things that I say no as a Tennessee fan, but I get it.
Yeah, it's just wild, kind of how everything is like the teams that were supposed to be good are still good, but there's some teams that are just bad, like Texas A&M. I think they were supposed to be good. Some people had them to be in the SEC They had them to knock off Bama and get in the SEC championship.
Yep.
Now they won't even make a bowl game.
You absolutely hate it. Hate to see
also, like, dude, if I'm a Texas A&M fan and I have to watch another game where Haynes King is throwing with that motion, I will like just burn all your gear and just pick a new team. Just start over. If A&M refuses to start over, you do it for them.
There you go. I like that.
Got some BaseVols starting back up.
Real quick, did you see Mike Leach putting up the chairs so players can sit down?
Yeah. Did they end up winning?
They did. So it worked. That's all you can say about it. It worked.
Good for them.
No rest. No rest on the sidelines. Or no sitting down sidelines, I guess.
I don't understand why they couldn't just like. Why could he not just ask somebody to just do that?
Hey, he's a lunch pail guy. Go do it himself.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who shouldn't feel good, does South Carolina really feel that Vanderbilt scored 27 on him? Like, do you feel better about your season? They did get bowl eligible, so maybe they feel better. But
yeah, we might score 100 on South Carolina.
I would love nothing more than that. Nothing more. The 50.
But I do appreciate them winning because I did bet on them as well. I don't know why that line was at 7, but
yeah. BaseVols, though. Sorry, I wanted to get those last SEC teams out of the way. Let's talk some BaseVols in Jackson.
Yeah, in Jackson, sold out crowd against Memphis today. Tennessee won the first 9 innings, 9-1. It was like 18-3 the last time I checked it before we started. Let's see if I can find what it was. So Tennessee ended up winning 22-4 in 18 innings. But yeah, they led 9-1 after the first 9 innings. Everybody kind of got to pitch. Dolander started. That was our first run. It was against Dolander. Had 2. I think he gave up 2 or 3 hits or something like that. Had a couple Ks. And then our boy Xander Seacrest got out of a jam and prevented, more runs from scoring. Kyle Booker had a day. He was 3 for 5, 3 doubles, 2 RBIs, stolen base. Griffin Merritt had a 2-run bomb. In the 10th inning, Kavaris Tears hit a grand slam to make it 15-2. So it was just kind of a beatdown. Got to talk to some guys yesterday, some former players, Connor Pavoloni, Trey Lipscomb, Will Mabry, Will the Thrill. And I was talking to Connor about, kind of what this team looks like. And they've been practicing with them and training a little bit. And he said, last year that team was good. This team could be even better.
Oh my gosh! Don't say that right now. Don't say that, Connor. Don't get me like that. Don't do that to me.
But Chase Dolander, he was talking about him, and we saw the thing where like they're about to practice. Ryan Shumpert mentioned it, and they had 40 guys just there to watch him practice and throw, in Major League Scouts. So it's going to be interesting. I think Tennessee's got some. It's a completely different lineup. I mean, there was 2 guys. I tweeted out today 2 guys that had significant playing time last year in that lineup today, and it was at Tennessee, I guess I should say, Blake Burke and Christian Moore. Neither one of those was an everyday starter. Toward the end of the year, they kind of got that starting job, and they did have a significant role in this team. But other than that, it's Maliahuna's a Kansas transfer. You got Griffin Merritt, who's a Cincinnati transfer, AAC Player of the Year. Zane Denton, Alabama transfer. Dylan Drilling, he is a true freshman. I think he might have had a home run today. He had a couple RBIs, I think. But yeah, just a completely different line. Jared Dickey's still out. He had a surgery on his hand, but he's done for the rest of fall, but should be back for when the season gets here. So Charlie Taylor started. I've heard good things about him. I mean, it's going to be different, but you still have that 3-headed monster in Drew Beam and Chase Burns and Chase Dolander, and then you got Xander Sechrist, Camden Sewell's back. I mean, you just got to have a lot of guys. Andrew Lindsay's another guy. I think a Charlotte transfer. Zach Joyce, who didn't play last year. So there's some newcomers, but that starting pitching is there for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this team's gonna. It blows my mind if they are gonna be better, just because this team was so good in every area, right? I mean, there was hard to find weaknesses. Few teams did, but pitching staff will definitely be loaded, which is I mean, you need to be good there. So,
yeah, and Kyle Booker out today, he was a guy that they thought would be a big player for them last year, and just couldn't carve out a role in that loaded outfield. And right. I think they've kind of reloaded a little bit with Griffin Merritt. Jared Dickey, I know, has moved to catcher since then, but Kyle Booker, I mean, Logan Chambers started. He was a guy who hit like 1-something last year, but was a really good JUCO transfer that he's the reason why Vitello and Van Horn hate each other. Or I guess that's not why they hate each other, but that was the reason they had that spat a couple years ago. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting how things play out. I'm looking forward to seeing the full schedule. We got the SEC slate, but we're waiting on that non-conference schedule. See when everything starts up.
We'll see who we play in the snow.
Yeah, it's gonna be cold.
Where's the preseason tournament out this year? They've been outside, haven't they? Where are we playing?
Yeah, it's somewhere out west. I think it's somewhere out west. I don't remember exactly where it's at.
You want me to look it up?
Yeah, you can. Let's go to while you're doing that. Let's go to most important. That's kind of all I got for that. Did you see where the Vikings did a phenomenal celebration today?
No, I didn't see this.
Harrison Smith did a bowling, and like the whole defense is like in the end zone, and they all just like fall down like it's pins. It was pretty sick.
Classic kicking and screaming. I think they do that in kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Also,
there was way more than 11 guys right there. So, like, the entire defense was down there.
That's awesome. They don't have it on the schedule yet. I'm sure they've announced it. My first one, storming the field. It's back, baby. LSU does it to Alabama. Also, someone asked it. Does Ole Miss storm if they beat Alabama? Does Alabama get rushed in 3 years? And has that ever happened? And will Nick Saban have an aneurysm? There's a lot of questions to ask, but the only important part of this is storming the field is back. Greg Sankey, you cannot take it from us.
Yeah, like, does he retire after this year? Because he's like, I can't take this ever. Like, I can't do this ever again.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna. I don't know if he's gonna be happy after this weekend. And
Because he's never done it the way that every coach has. So, like, you know, I know a lot of people want to go out on top. Is he a guy that just like, no, this is my worst year, I'm done?
I don't see him doing that.
I don't either, but
I don't see him doing
one
that.
can hope, right?
Someone was saying he won't leave until 2030 because that's when his contract ends. I was an Alabama fan, by the way. Just want to clear that up in case you're wondering who said something so absurdly stupid.
2030. Good God.
Yeah,
he's
2030. Nick Saban's going to coach until 2030 after he gets contract extension next year. So whenever that goes to, 2032, I'm sure he'll still be coaching.
If he's still coaching at 2030, there needs to be an investigation on if he's a robot or not. Like, I need to know. I need to see what his insides look like.
We need to find out how close he is to the Clintons and the Rothschilds at that point, I think.
And the Epsteins.
And yeah, maybe check the flight logs one more time. just to see.
Hey, one thing, we can check those. Tennessee fans, you know, we're pretty experienced on checking planes.
The FBI called the wrong people when they were trying to find the flight logs.
Yeah,
for sure.
Should have called us.
Do you have any more most important?
Yeah, IMG Academy. Did you see this?
Oh, that was my fail. That's the most important for you? Falling for another one?
Yeah, I guess it could be either one, right? I mean, scoring 96 points and a half has got to be.
But you saw who they played, right?
Yeah, West Toronto Prep in Canada.
And they call it, that is. So did you know the story about West Toronto Prep yet?
No, but I assume it's the same thing as what's that other school?
Bishop Gorman, yeah.
The same one? No, not Bishop Gorman. Bishop Sycamore.
Bishop Sycamore, sorry, not Bishop Gorman. Bishop Sycamore, yes. Essentially the same thing. It's a prep school, but it's like a post high school prep school. It's like players from like a junior Canadian league, essentially.
Well, not good on their part. Also, yeah, like,
how do you get fooled like that twice? That's what I'm. Hey, listen, one time I get it.
I blame the Moose. This is his fault.
Who is it?
The Moose.
Oh, probably. He dropped off the bag at the wrong house.
Yeah, Niedermeyer definitely scheduled this game. They needed a tune-up, right?
For sure. 96-0 is impressive, though. I see why that's your most important. I kind of forgot about that factor.
Yes.
In a half. Yeah, the game got called early, folks. Yeah.
At what point do you call the dogs off? I mean, I'm sure they did at some point in the half, but like they were still able to score.
I mean, what do you do though if you give it to your running back? I don't know how they scored him, but what happens if a running back takes one up his guard and goes for a touchdown? You don't tell the kid to fall down. When you start kneeling the ball is a great question.
Yeah. And when do you just like try to give it back to him? Just like, here, go run it in.
Yeah, probably up 96-0 is when you start kneeling it. So
yeah,
if I had to guess. So that was my fail.
Okay, yeah. I thought I did have. No, I only have fails left. That's it. Oh, the Tennessee fan that was just loving Georgia on, his podcast or whatever he has.
I didn't see this.
Yeah, you did. He's an Alabama fan.
Oh, that guy. Oh, I thought you said Tennessee fan.
Oh, did I?
I thought so. Okay.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, he's an Alabama fan. And so just fell on him because he might have got his wish that Georgia's going to beat Tennessee, but he also forgot that LSU plays Alabama and they lost too. So
Oh, love it.
Also, I have Georgia fans. Hey, if you're going to take a
Okay.
shot at Tennessee with a sign, can you at
Mm.
least spell Tennessee correct?
There are also just some really bad signs in that crowd.
Yeah.
Really bad. Ugh. Eric Ainge, that's my other fail.
Yeah, mine was going to be VFLs. Just not a great weekend for VFLs for tweeting. Don't give teams bulletin board material. Number one. Maybe don't say the starting quarterback that's a Heisman candidate let this team down. That just doesn't make it because do we really honestly think Joe Milton was a better option yesterday?
Yeah, no, definitely not the case. Yeah, not a good weekend on Twitter. Or
Yeah.
week on Twitter also.
Yeah, not great.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
All right, let's are you having more fails?
That's all I got now.
All right, we need to shake this week off.
Yep,
We need to be
let's
done
do
with it. Get out of here. We'll see you guys on Thursday. We'll be talking Missouri. And then we'll be at it. We'll be in I don't know where we're gonna be yet. We're not tailgating this week.
Yeah, are you going to the game?
Probably. I haven't bought a ticket yet.
Okay. Okay. What if I could get you a ticket?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go if I have a ticket.
Okay. I'll work on that. We'll figure that out. But yeah, we'll be back on Thursday. Y'all have a great rest of your week. We'll be somewhere tailgating, so we'll let you know where we're at. You can hit us up. I also had a great time at Old City Sports Bar yesterday. I know it sucked how the game turned out, but a lot of great people. Met some cool people. Met some good VFLs who weren't all over Twitter saying how bad our team is or giving teams bulletin board material. So did get to meet some of those guys, but yeah, we'll tweet where we're at. We'll be somewhere. Guys, thanks for listening. Bringing the boat in. We out.